Book review: Good Neighbors Alibis collection by Chad Zunker. Chad Zunker's Good Neighbors, part of Amazon's Alibis collection, is compact yet gripping psychological thriller that slices into the glossy veneer of suburban friendship to reveal dark, pulsating undercurrent of manipulation, obsession, and betrayal, though short in length. Designed to be read or listened to in one sitting, this story is loaded with tension, moral ambiguity, and twist that hits that punch. It's masterclass in how to distill thriller to its most essential elements without sacrificing character, suspense, or impact. At the center of this suburban noir is Kara, loyal wife, mother, and best friend. Her world is one of school drop-offs, coffee chats, and neighborhood gossip, all orbiting the comfortable domesticity of her cul-de-sac. But when her best friend and next-door neighbor Mindy reveals that she suspects her husband Adam is having an affair, Kara's role shifts from friend to confidante to amateur sleuth. And from that moment, Zunker begins slow burn of escalating stakes and deepening psychological complexity that never lets go. Plot summary: in Good Neighbors, Chad Zunker delivers taut, spine-tingling short story that explores the dangerous terrain between loyalty, curiosity, and deception, set in the seemingly tranquil world of suburban life. Kara is a dedicated wife and mother who prides herself on being good neighbor, especially to her best friend Mindy, who lives directly across the street. The two women are close, sharing coffee, secrets, and the mundane rhythms of neighbor life. So when Mindy confides her growing suspicions that her husband Adam is having an affair, Kara immediately takes it upon herself to protect her friend. She's determined to watch Adam, to catch him in the act if need be. After all, what are neighbors for? With increasing vigilance, Kara begins to monitor the goings-on across the street. She peeks through blinds, takes mental notes at Adam's late arrivals, and grows increasingly obsessed with the idea that he's betraying Mindy. The surveillance is at first favor, sign of loyalty, but it begins to take over Kara's thoughts, giving her sense of purpose and excitement. One night, Kara spots a shadowy figure sneaking into Mindy's house. It's the moment she's been waiting for. Certain she's about to expose Adam's affair, Kara impulsively decides to act. She slips out of her own home, crosses the street under cover of darkness, and creeps toward her friend's house, half thrilled, half terrified. Inside, however, Kara finds something far more disturbing than a simple affair. The house is eerily quiet, lights are dim. Something wrong. She stumbles into a scene of chaos. Broken glass, the scent of blood, and an ominous sense that she's not alone. Then she sees body. Panicked and confused, Kara realizes too late that she's walked into crime scene, but as she tries to flee, someone steps out of the shadows. What unfolds is horrifying revelation. Kara has been manipulated from the start. The story pivots in chilling twist. Mindy wasn't the victim of betrayal. She was the mastermind. Her sweet friendship was front. The talk of Adam's infidelity was bait. Kara, it turns out, has been set up to take the fall for something sinister, set up perfectly, crafted by someone who knew how to use her trust and loyalty against her. As the police arrive, Kara's screams go unheard, her innocence irrelevant in the face of carefully planned evidence and fabricated narrative. Mindy plays the grieving wife to perfection. Kara's life crumbles in an instant. Not because she was nosy, but because she believed in the wrong person. Good Neighbors is powerful, fast-paced psychological thriller that captures the dangers of misplaced trust and the thin veneer of suburban friendship. Zunker uses tightly wound, sharp dialogue, and stunning final twists to explore how even the closest relationships can hide devastating lies. Part of the Alibis collection, this story asks one unnerving question. When it comes to lies and loyalty, how far would you go for your best friend? And what would happen if it was all trap? A premise built on trust and its betrayal. The setup is deceptively simple. Mindy, distraught and vulnerable, asks Kara to keep an eye on her husband. Kara, driven by empathy and genuine desire to help, agrees without hesitation. This pact, seemingly rooted in friendship, is the narrative engine of the story. And its eventual point of rupture, what begins as favor turns into mission and then into compulsion. Kara starts watching the house, keeps mental log of Adam's arrivals and departures. Her glances turn into surveillance, her concern into obsession. Zunker deftly explores the psychology of Kara's choices. She's not portrayed as nosy busybody or thrill seeker. Rather, she's every bit the well-meaning friend acting out of loyalty and desire to protect someone she loathes. And yet, the story asks us to consider, at what point does care curdle into control? When does watching become violation? Kara's descent is slow but deliberate. Each action feels reasonable on its own, taken together. However, they form path toward something much darker. Something Kara doesn't see coming until it's too late. Atmosphere of suspicion and unease. The brilliance of Good Neighbors lies in its atmosphere. Quiet, unassuming neighborhood where every porch light and drawn curtain hides potential secrets. Zunker exploits the claustrophobia of suburbia, where houses are close but people are distant, where lives are shared but truths are hidden. Carr's neighborhood is filled with friendly smiles and backyard EBS, but the silence behind closed doors is deafening. The author's is tight and economical. He doesn't linger. Every sentence drives forward, sharpening the suspense. Yet Zunker doesn't rush through the emotional beats. Carr's internal monologue is richly textured, filled with uncertainty, doubt, and flashes of dread. Readers are pulled into her thought process so deeply that when she makes her fateful decision to cross the street one night and investigate mysterious figure entering Mindy's house, it feels both inevitable and terrifying. A twist that reframes the entire narrative. The pivotal moment in Good Neighbors is when Kara enters Mindy's house and discovers crime scene instead of an affair. The shift is jarring but perfectly executed. The warmth of domestic familiarity is replaced by shattered glass, blood, and dread. Kara's mission to protect her friend becomes fight for her own life and for the truth. It's here that Zunker pulls the rug out from under both Kara and the reader. Mindy was victim of adultery. She was orchestrating setup. The entire affair narrative was ploy, and Kara, with her loyalty and growing fixation, was the perfect scapegoat. The betrayal is chilling not because it's violent, but because it's surgical. Kara's trust has been exploited with such precision that she's left completely vulnerable, framed for murder she did commit, her voice drowned out by narrative too neat to question. Zunker doesn't just surprise us with twist A, he uses it to critique our assumptions about truth, justice, and the ease with which the innocent can be made to look guilty. Kara's desperation in the story's final moments is palpable. The police don't believe her, her community doesn't rally around her. And Mindy, she emerges unscathed, cloaked in the grief of widow, her crime hidden beneath the smokescreen of social expectation and emotional manipulation. Characterization, subtle but potent. Given the brevity of the story, Zunker wisely focuses on narrow cast of characters, primarily Kara and Mindy. This focus allows for surprising amount of psychological depth. Kara is not flawless protagonist. She is emotionally intense, at times impulsive, and occasionally self-righteous. But her core motivations, love, loyalty, and the desire to do the right thing, are profoundly human. Mindy, in contrast, master of deception, she's the quintessential good neighbor on the outside, friendly, kind pillar of suburban normalcy. But beneath that lies chilling manipulator willing to destroy a friend to achieve her goals. Zunker doesn't over-explain her. He lets her actions speak, and in doing so creates character far more terrifying than a typical villain, because she feels entirely plausible. Themes: the dangerous illusion of safety. One of the central themes of Good Neighbors is the illusion of safety and the danger of assuming we truly know the people around us. Kara believes in her friendship with Mindy. She believes in the strength of their bond, in the stability of their neighborhood, in the justice system. All of these beliefs are systematically dismantled. There's also commentary here on gendered expectations and emotional labor. Kara is punished for caring too much, for being too involved, for assuming the emotional burden of someone else's pain. Mindy exploits those expectations, knowing full well that no one will suspect her of such cold-blooded manipulation. It's a sobering reminder of how often women's roles as caretakers and emotional supports weaponized against them. Pacing and structure, short format, long and back. Zunker uses the short story format to its fullest potential. There's no fluff. Every scene matters. The story builds with relentless momentum, each beat tightening the noose around Kara's neck until the final blow lands with devastating clarity. The pacing is masterfully controlled. There's deliberate slowness to the opening, sense of creeping unease as Kara becomes more involved. And as she crosses into Mindy's house, the tempo shifts dramatically. It's cinematic in its escalation, like film that starts as character study and ends as psychological thriller. Despite its brevity, Good Neighbors leaves lingering impact. The ending is not clean or redemptive. It's messy, painful, and unresolved in the way the best thrillers often are. The reader is left with profound sense of injustice, not just for Kara, but for how easily truth can be rewritten and innocence ignored. Final thoughts. A gripping, unsettling gem. Good Neighbors is remarkable achievement in the short thriller format. Chad Zunker proves that it doesn't take hundreds of pages to build suspense, develop complex characters, and deliver devastating twists. In fewer than 10,000 words, he delivers narrative that is top, emotionally resonant, and thematically rich. This story is not just about crime. It's about trust, about how the people we love most are worst enemies, about how the desire to do good can lead us into unimaginable danger. It's also about how society too often believes the performance of truth rather than the truth itself. Readers who enjoy psychological thrillers, domestic noir, or character-driven suspense will find Good Neighbors an engrossing, disturbing, and unforgettable read. It's cautionary tale that lingers well beyond the final page and might just make you think twice about, well, the person living next door. Rating 5.5. Chilling, compact, and expertly crafted, Good Neighbors is a must-read for fans of suspenseful storytelling with psychological edge.